Have you ever thought about doing a patch? Here's your video. Hey folks, it's Josh K with the Monterey Company, and today we are going to be talking about patches, specifically 6 styles. Amongst them are not eye patches for pirates. They are going to be PVC, embroidered, woven, dye-sublimated, leather, and chenille. Let's go. There's so much information. We may not cover all of it today. Check out some of our other videos. Feel free to call us, ask us with any questions, put in a quote request, and we'll get into it from there. But this is just your general one-stop shop for all the information that you can want for all the different patches that we do. First, I want to go over some similarities between the different patch styles. One, it's all going to start with your design. That's going to be the base, the foundation of your project. To that effect, one of the best things that you can do is open up your design on your computer, shrink it down until you go, I want my patch to be that size, and then measure that. Then you're going to have a much better idea of what your design looks like at that size and what size patch you want to do. The next thing to talk about is backing. We have 4 main backing types. You can do all 4 main backings on all of the patches that we offer. No backing, adhesive, iron-on, or hook and loop. We've got videos explaining the differences and kind of the applications that they would be used, so check that out. But you can do that on any patch style. That covers the similarities. Let's go into the differences. I'm going to start off with PVC, our most popular patch style. PVC is a rubber patch for all intents and purposes. So when you think PVC, it's not irrigation pipes, it's just like a rubber patch. We mold PVC. The mold can be 2D or 3D. All aspects of your design has to be built into the mold, or it has to be printed, but generally we try to keep that built into the mold. To that effect, there are going to be some drawbacks with PVC, like colors have to be solid. You can't do any color gradient on them. Small details might not be able to be built into the mold. So we might go, hey, we're going to have to simplify this area. We'll try to stay as close to your design as possible, but there are limitations on what you can build the mold out of. When you get into 2D or 3D, we've got a great video explaining the difference. Check that out. Most PVC patches are going to be 2D. The next patch style to talk about is embroidered. Very, very popular style. If you've seen a patch, you probably have seen an embroidered patch. Base idea behind embroidery is you're going to have a twill background, and then your logo is going to be embroidered on top of that twill background. Some of the drawbacks with embroidery is solid colors, no color gradient. You can't really do a lot of tiny details in small areas. So if your design has some small text, you might say, hey, we need to enlarge that or remove that because it's not going to turn out well. When you try to do too small in an embroidered patch, it just looks real muddy. So simpler, bolder designs, solid colors, they're great for embroidery. If it's too complex, we recommend one of our other styles, which leads us to woven. Woven is a very similar patch style to embroidered. They're both cloth-based patches, but the main difference is with a woven patch, your entire design is woven together on the same plane. So the interior of the patch will be flat, but with a woven patch, we can get a lot smaller, finer details. Colors still do have to be solid, but if you have really small text, if you have like a weathered effect in your design, those generally tend to be better for a woven than an embroidered patch. If you have a ton of design, a ton of tiny details in your design, if you have a lot of color gradient, then we might get to a dye-sublimated patch. Very similar to a woven patch for all intents and purposes. It is a blank woven patch with the design printed using dyes. With dye-sublimated, we can do photo likeness. We can do color gradient. We can do text as small as you want to make it. If you want to pass out your patches with a magnifying glass and say, there's our name, that's dye-sublimated. The next patch would be leather. In leather, we have faux or genuine. Faux is definitely going to be a little bit cheaper than genuine leather patches. They're both the same basic premise. You have a leather piece of leather, and then your logo is hot stamped. We literally make a brand of your logo, and we brand each piece of leather. The branded areas will be recessed and darker. So when you're looking at your design, you think about it. If you want your text to be raised, then we'd be recessing the background. We'd be hot stamping the background. If you want your text to be darker and recessed, then we'd be hot stamping your text. The last patch style to talk about is chenille. The easiest way to think about it is like Letterman jackets. That's a chenille patch. With chenille, we're generally wanting to do a larger format patch. Can't really do too small. You want it to be a fairly simple design. We are somewhat limited on the number of colors that we can do, but if you have a large enough and that's the style that you want. There's so much more information on this. Please always feel free to request samples. If you're not sure of what style you want to do and you think it could be woven or it could be embroidered, let us know. We're happy to send you out a bunch of samples so you can see the difference. And that'll help you go, man, it's definitely a woven patch. That's what I want to go with. The more knowledge, the more information that you can have before you even start, the more successful your project will be. Like, click, subscribe, put in a quote request, ask us for samples. Thanks so much. Take care.